What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new week of Q&A. Yeah, it's good to be back. Last one I did was with Charlie Robbins. Next week I have Jacob Umansky planned. So yeah, how's everybody doing? It's good to see you guys again. It's been a bit since I've done the solo live stream. I was gonna turn this. Yeah, it's been a little bit since I've done this solo live stream. So I'm excited to see how you guys are doing. Mike Ramirez, how's it going? Randy Epp, good to see you. Epic Guy, how's it going? Colin O'Brien, what's going on? Guillaume Marchand. Colton Chapman says, congrats on all the success, Steve. Your vids are night and day compared to a year ago. Will there be any plans for a riff competition or songwriting contest in the future with the QC as the prize? Quite possibly. Yeah, as I said in the comment afterwards, there's definitely, I have some plans for some community events, as well as some more contest and riff writing competitions, because those are a lot of fun for me. I really, really enjoy them. The Abasi contest got a little funky, but honestly, it didn't really bother me so much. I did need a little bit of time away from the competitions just because of my own personal, mainly because of my own personal schedule. At the time, I was planning for my wedding, helping my wife plan for the wedding more likely, and it was just a lot. So I ended up having to just kind of step back a little bit, just continue doing some content and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm excited now that things are getting back to normal, and I can really concentrate on making contests, competition, and content for you guys. That's going to be fun, interesting, engaging, and potentially educational if everything works out to my benefit. Even right now, I was thinking about for today's live stream, I could even show you guys a track that I'm kind of working on. It's a little bit more rock and roll. I was live streaming it yesterday on my personal channels, and somebody said it sounded like Wolfpack, which is kind of the inspiration for the track, but we'll get to that later if you guys are interested. But yeah, so how are you guys doing? Nick Burby, what's going on? He says, looking forward to this. I appreciate that. Ancient Mariner, good to see you, dude. Notification gang, check in, we lit. Says, I am or 666. My dude, good to see you. All right. Chat's gonna pop down real fast. Let's go ahead and pop out the chat so I can see it a little bit better. I'm running like a dual computer setup, so I have all the chat stuff on my screen over here. Okay, so Sergio says, hi, Steve. Any news on the shipping of the pre-orders? I don't have that information on hand at the moment. I would, however, encourage you greatly to subscribe to the Neural DSP newsletter. Any and all information that comes down to the shipping and updates are all going to be on the newsletter. You'll get regular notifications. We try to be as communicative as possible through the newsletter. If not, go to the Neural DSP page and click blogs, which we have a bunch of our updates there as well in case you missed the newsletter. I know it's going to be very soon, and I know that that's not exactly a satisfying answer, but again, I'm not going to promise anything that I'm not 100% certain on. Corey LTM, what's going on, dude? Colin O'Brien, I think he said hello. Ryan Michael asks, hey, Steve, I own many of the Neural plugins. I love them. Have you considered incorporating FPGA into the Neural Cortex? I don't know what FPGA is. So if you could clarify that, I can answer the question. M just asks, boosted JCM 800 or boosted dual rack? That depends on the style, man. That depends on the style. My first inclination is go to the boosted JCM 800 because that saturation characteristic really jives with my style right now. But you can't knock the dual rack. I owned a dual rack for a long time, and it was really great. I mean, that Mesa Boogie kind of style just works so well, especially if you're going like the Lamb of God sort of style. It just works super well. Okay, so Ray Mitchell is asking, would you guys release a standalone plugin host that allows us to load multiple neural plugins, say something like load a Pliny, a Nameless, and a Kali, and be able to switch between them via MIDI? Okay, so this is an interesting question that we've gotten a couple of times. I'm not sure what they have in plans right now, but I can show you some modular programs that will allow you to do exactly that. Let me switch over to my thing here. So let's go ahead and do modular GTR. So we're just going to make ourselves a track, and these plugins that I'm pulling up can be loaded in Standalone as well. So like the Element, Modular Instrument, Mono. Actually, let's make this, I can make this Element Mono Stereo. What this is you can set up your audio input here. Let's go ahead and put Neural DSP Corey Wong. Chimo. All right, I'm gonna make this small so I can see what I'm doing. So I got the archetype Corey Wong. Let's put up the Pliny. I'm just clicking random. I don't have a preference between VST and VST3. Archetype Pliny. And let's say Fortin Nameless. So I have all three of these here. And then I can just route my audio input over to these specific plugins and then route these to the outputs. It's not exactly a graceful program, but it works, you know? Etc., etc. And then you can use your MIDI inputs and control them all here. Right. So that's something that you could use, and this is actually a free program as well. You can download it from their website. Just search Element Modular Instrument, and you'll be able to come up with this. And again, as far as whether the guys at Neural are making this or not, I'm not 100% sure. But this is a good solution for what you're looking to do. Let's take that out. My Pro Tools is frozen. Wonderful. Let's see if it crashes. Is everything else still live? Everything else good? Everything else is good. Okay. So yeah, so there's that, and there's also Blue Cat Patchwork. This is another modular one, but it's not quite as flexible as the other one. So you have your pre and post sections, parallel chains. So like you would put up your VSTs here, like Nolly, Corey Wong, Nameless, etc. You could put some on here, so that way if you wanted just like a tuner, or if you wanted one of the overdrive pedals here that could go to all of your individual plugins, you could set that up that way. Post EQs, etc., etc. So this is another option, but this one, the Patchworks plugin, is $100. So that's kind of like the trade-off between the two. So yeah. Ray Mitchell asks, would you please release a plugin that is effects only? Say a collection of effects from the Quad Cortex that allows us to insert effects in front of and after amp sims. I don't know if that's in the works. I mean, I say that nothing is off the table, I imagine, with the Neural guys, but it's just a matter of like, will that be an effective release? Will that be an effective plugin for what people want? And I mean, obviously there are workarounds that I've gone over before, as far as being able to pull up, like, you could build yourself a chain from pretty much any of the plugins. So if you wanted to go with nollies pre the pedal section. You could do that. Just turn everything else off, and then you could go with the Corey Wong. If you just want the head and the EQ section, and then you want to go with the Pliny mono to stereo for the effects section. And then you have basically your entire set of pieces that you want in your effects chain. So whether they decide to do a collection of those in the future is up in the air. I'm not sure. The developer team is very, very secretive, even within their own company, and that's good because then I can't accidentally answer a question that I don't have the right to answer. So. However, the one thing that's going to be really good about the Quad Cortex, though, being that you could use it as USB audio inputs, you can actually use that in your DAWs and then use the Quad Cortex's effects just within your DAWs to affect your tracks. So that's something that I'm really, really excited about the Quad Cortex releasing, is that you're going to be able to use it just within your DAW and not have to worry about reamping or, inputs or outputs. So yeah. Corey LTM, what's going on, dude? Okay, Ryan Michael asks the same question. Again, I'm not sure what FPGA is. So, you know what? Let's just do what I normally do and just Google this shit. Field programmable gate array. Oof, this is this is beyond my scope. I am not smart enough to know at all what this is even for, so I apologize. Okay. McChurch, what's going on, dude? Things are good. Things are really, really good. Back from Sweetwater, back from honeymoon and wedding and all of that. So looking for everything to start normalizing, as normal as they can be, I suppose, when you're a content creator working for a company that's putting out the Quad Cortex. So there's that. Let's see. Oh, Mr. Kiami, okay, says, I would love to hear your version of the intro track, tones and effects from the Quad Cortex. You know what? I really do actually want to kind of do that. I mean, so I've actually started working on this track here. Let me make this inactive. I'll show you guys the track that I'm kind of working on right now, which has a little bit more rock vibe. I'm thinking of making this track into a strictly archetype Corey Wong mix and mix master and production. As you can see, I got archetype Corey Wong on all of my tracks aside from the drums just yet. So I'll just play you guys this and see what you think. Still got some more production still got some more production stuff to do on this end section, kind of big chords, big rhythms sort of thing. But otherwise, yeah, I would actually really love to do that intro track. I actually kind of want to redo the intro tracks in general because I'm kind of over this. What's it called? Royalty free music that I've had. I mean, it's worked for its time, but otherwise, I'm kind of like, I'm just done with it. So, all right, let's take a look at some more. Charlie Sahona says, "Hi, Stephen. When Neural DSP is making an amp capture of one specific channel, do they make mini captures of it with different amp settings so it sounds more realistic when we turn the knobs of the plugin?" Okay, so the capture is going to be of the current settings. You couldn't exactly make an interpolation between like 3 different captures, right? So you could have a clean mid gain, high gain capture, and then adjust the knobs to taste. So you wouldn't be able to go necessarily smoothly between the 3. However, I would suggest, what actually would be really cool is you could take captures of individual channels, put them all just in your chain, and then just adjust your either stomp mode or scene mode to just go between the different channels or different settings that you would want. That would be easy enough to do, I think. And then after you have your capture, you do have parameters that you can change, like high, mids, lows, gains, outputs, etc. So each capture is going to be flexible, but I would probably suggest taking multiple captures and then putting them all up in your signal chain, so that way you could go between your individual channels and distinct tones that you want to create. Yeah, I actually got to do some captures, a capture over at the Sweetwater factory. Which was really cool. We captured an Aguilar bass head 700. It sounded awesome. It sounded exactly the same. Like I kept like hitting the button back and forth between the two, and it was just like, that's good. It sounds great. Oh, Aditya, how's it going, dude? Good to see you, man. Although, Charlie, I will say that the post adjustments that you can make, like the treble, gain, mids, lows, etc., they do sound really, really natural after the capture has been created. So I was very, very surprised at that. Pleasantly surprised. It sounded great. McChurch, man, thank you. He says, remember all the good advice you gave on the Legator Twitch stream. I appreciate that, man. That was a lot of fun, and I'm definitely down to do another one of those. I've been actually streaming quite often recently. I did a pretty long session yesterday where I actually started this track. I think this is about 3.5 hours, 3.5 hours worth of work. Guitars, bass, drums, etc. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. So yeah, I've been doing some more streaming recently, just having some fun, just kind of hanging out with you guys, getting my work done. Aaron Williams, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Oh, yeah, Ancient Mariner. Okay. To give you an idea of the Hulk that is next to my desk. It's so tall it can't even fit under my desk. Which is my fault because I stupidly went through cyberpowerpc.com or whatever and did a custom build for myself, and I was like, I want this to be a big computer, and I thought like, oh, full size tower. Yeah, I've always had full size towers. Come to think of it, I never did, and I didn't think to look at the dimensions either. So I got this, like, my tower is exactly the same height as my desk currently. Like, there might be only about a 1/2 inch difference between the height of my desk and my tower. But that aside, like, everything that I have could fit in a mid-sized tower if I was smart enough to actually look into the fine print. But I was so excited. So the specs on mine, I have the i9-9900K Intel processor. I just upgraded to 64 gigabytes of RAM. because I needed an upgrade. I was working off of 16 gigabytes for a long time, but that was kind of bottlenecking. Sorry, that was kind of bottlenecking my system. I also have the RTX 2080 for the GPU because I like the video. I like the video games. That's also a lot of fun. And then I have, let's see, I have a terabyte. Was it terabyte? I think I have a terabyte SSD for my, oh no, that's 500 gigabytes SSD for my main processing. And then I have storage like 2 terabytes HD, HHD, HDD, whatever. Epic Guy says, "Congrats on joining the Married Club." Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It was a lot. It was a challenging ordeal, but we've made it through, and we are extremely happy to be on the other side of it. As I'm sure most people who've gone through a wedding can attest. Weddings weddings are the least fun thing about getting married. Um that's actually a really interesting question. Okay, so I didn't see that part of your question. Epic guy says, so you had the wedding plans going on. Did you and your wife already get married? Yes, we got married at Halloween, October 31st. And what's her thoughts on your career with being the face of Neural? She's incredibly supportive of what I do. She's incredibly supportive, and she um, no, she's not listening. Okay. I asked if you wanted to answer this question. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't realize my wife is in the chat. I'm looking at a different portion of the chat right now. I'm not seeing the current questions because I'm just kind of scrolling through, answering them as they come. Um, so she answered that. That's great, or is going to answer it. I hear furious typing from the room over. Geo, what's up, dude? Thanks for stopping in on the stream yesterday. I appreciate that. Hmm. Let's see. Steven, quick answer. Yes or no? Imagine Helix native, but it's quad cortex native. Happening? Question mark. From Mucho Bueno Gear. It's my dude. I'm not familiar with the Helix native. If you're talking about like something to control the quad cortex from your desktop or your phone, yes, that's actually on the quad cortex page. So that's happening. Um, Okay, my dude with the Cyrillic name says, as buyers of your awesome plugins, we would like to have more presets for them. And that's fair. You know, that's definitely fair. We try to put out as many artists presets as possible. However, if you go to unity.neuraldsp.com, that is our forum for presets. And so like we have like a bunch of user presets being uploaded there. I generally add my presets to the downloads in any of the performance videos that I make as well. So the artist tones will usually always have the presets in the descriptions, bass presets, guitar presets, and anything else that I ended up using them on. Um, generally we'll try and get you as many presets as possible. Yeah, there's all it just depends on the style that you're looking for. Ah, awesome. I like that you guys dig the song. Thanks. Colin O'Brien, will there be an EQ section for the Fortin amp plugins? I don't think that that's in an update anytime soon, but I'm not 100% sure. Again, the developer side is very separate from my end of the company. So I'm not sure about any particular updates. Like they the Fortin plugins were made in conjunction with Fortin, obviously. So if they don't want an EQ, they don't want an EQ, and that's their prerogative, you know. But again, I'm not sure exactly what's happening with that. So Dana Suave says, could you please explain the process for capturing pedals preamps? It's going to be the exact same as capturing an amp. You're going to basically put an output to your pedal. That's going to go back into input 1. You're going to start the capture process, and that's pretty much it. Make sure that your pedal is at the settings that you want. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much it. Oh, geez, that's an interesting question. Summit 101XXX says, how would you approach mixing 9-string guitars with bass an octave lower? Hoo-hoo. Dude, that would be really hard. I mean, like, I imagine just that the bass just sounds like farts. I can't, like, because even like the Meshuggah stuff, the Meshuggah track that I mixed, I had the bass an octave up, because if I put the bass an octave lower or unison with the 8-string guitars that I was working on, like you lose distinction of notes that low in the frequency. So I wouldn't recommend, like, if you have an option to go with bass either unison or an octave above, go with that. But an octave lower would be just ridiculous. Yeah, that would be so difficult to do. Because the thing is, like, you're messing with sub frequencies at that point, and it's not even like they're not even really distinguishable. And like, it's just here. Let me. So like your regular bass frequencies. So like the main information that your ear is going to take is from like your bass fundamental frequencies are between like 80 hertz, 120 hertz. Like your bass lives in this frequency range right here. If you are playing an octave below a 9-string, you're like going into like this range over here with the fundamentals of the notes, and it's just gonna sound like hot garbage. I mean, I could be wrong. You know, like I wouldn't exactly know until I got the files in hand, but you know, I mean, like you can always do a couple of tricksy sort of things if you wanted to try doing maybe use like a little alter boy to get like an octave above, so you can just have that sort of information in your bass. But yeah, anyway, let's just keep going with the question. So that's generally where I would go with that. So. Oh, thanks, Paul. Oh, good to see you, dude. It says, much love, brother. Keep up the awesome work. I appreciate that, man. If you guys don't know, Paul DeMaio is the owner of Omega Ampworks. So the Omega Ampworks Grandifier is his baby, and it's an awesome plugin. So good to see you, dude. I see. Pressuria says, "What's she gonna complain about? Don't be too cool." I mean, I am a pretty cool guy, as she can attest. I feel her eyes rolling right now from the other room. Lear, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Okay. This is actually an interesting question. Okay, Ramon says, how quickly will someone notice I used only plugins for my record? Get Good Drums, Nolly, Parallax, Spitfire Lab Synths. Okay, there are things that you can do to make it less noticeable. Okay, if you're talking about Get Good Drums or drumming just in general, your velocities and your imperfections are going to make it sound less like Get Good Drums. Like, obviously, Get Good Drums are so synonymous with metal recording right now. Like, pretty much majority of people are using Get Good Drums, and for good reason. They are very, very good samples. But there's a couple of things that you can do with your drums to make it so that it's a little less noticeable. If I was to say, okay, let me pull this beat over here real quick. We'll take a look at this. Okay. So I wrote this section of drums for the kind of like bigger chord stuff. Like, so it's sort of a groove timing. Okay, so I mean, obviously these drums are not mixed, so they don't have quite the punch that I want them to have. However, some things that you can do, like you see how these hits are not exactly lined up with the grid. These little imperfections are what makes drums feel more human, because nobody is grid perfect. I mean, unless you're like playing like technical death metal, you're not going to want these to be exactly on the grid. So if I was to say, let's not randomize, let's apply quantization. So now everything is to grid. Right? Okay. Let's just listen. We'll listen to this one loop here real quick, and I'll do and undo what I just did. It's very, very, very subtle, but it does make a difference. Not only that, but also, let's see. All right, so the kicks and the snares are all at 127 velocity, which is not good. It does not sound natural to my ear anymore. Especially the da-da, the kicks. So playing around with the velocity and making that like look and feel more like a drummer would hit. So like, yeah, there's going to be some that are going to be maxed out velocity. There's going to be some that are at like 20 for like ghost notes. And then like any like drum fills, you're going to have to do different velocities per hand, because drummers are going to have like a heavy hand and a lighter hand. And then, so that kind of takes care of your get good drums, making the drums feel more like a human. I mean, and then once you get into like the mixing stage, maybe trying to EQ some of the characteristics out, or like doing something a little bit different than other people are doing is just going to give you a little bit different tone. So that way it doesn't sound like everybody else. But yeah, to start, just address your drum velocities. That's going to be a big thing. Aaron Williams, I just imagine Doug sitting off cam with the knife. Steven, blink twice if you need help. Blink 3 times if we're getting QC soon. Yeah, that's funny. Just gonna blink erratically. No, it's they're so good to me. The Doug and Poncho are amazing. But you know, soon. It's very soon. Oh, Tombo. Okay, so Tombo is asking, we have had Pliny and Corey Q&A. Any chance of Nolly one, or did I miss this before? Okay, so I am actively trying to get Nolly on a Q&A at some point. Nolly is a very, very busy dude. He's got so much on his plate, so I can understand him not being able to spare the time for a Q&A for the moment. But that is something that I'm actively trying to get sussed out between our schedules. So I'm hoping that that's going to happen sooner rather than later. Oh man, Lear asks, good question. How much more muscle tone will I get with the neural DSP joggers? Serious question. Can you explain the plumes pedal for Grandifier, please? Thanks, Steve. What would you like to know about it? It's a good question because the plumes is a really interesting pedal with the different. Let me just pull up active. Okay. So you have the three. I mean, like, so you have level, tone, and gain, which is pretty self-explanatory. But you have three different modes of clipping, with the second one being the brightest and the loudest. So you have like just, oh gosh, what is it? I don't remember it right off the bat. Hang on, let me do something real quick. Grandifier. I'm a cheat. Grandifier. Because I think there is... Oh, you know what? It's a Tube Screamer style pedal. Okay. I'm actually looking at the script that I wrote for this specific one. Mode 1 is an overdrive that adds a nice amount of grit to your signal. Mode 2 is a simple, clean boost. And then Mode 3 is similar to a Tube Screamer with a bit more clarity. Yeah, so just a couple of different clipping types to add maybe like a little bit more clean boost or grit to your signal. Yes, that's pretty much it. So yeah, so clean, gritty, not quite so gritty. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Hopefully that answers your question. Because I imagine the modes are probably what you were wondering, because those are the things that are only a little bit. Mucho bueno gear asks, can you show the bass Mrs. Stephen Ward is talking about? Absolutely. Let's go ahead. Let's switch cameras to bam. Okay, so I have a fancy new camera angle. So she got me this bass, which is the Chapman MLB 1.5, which is the 5-string version. It's sort of like a Warwick style, which is pretty cool. You can see the tuning knobs are kind of turned down, sort of in that Warwick style. I really dig it. Actually, the let's go ahead. This is the sound of the bass. Let's unfreeze this real quick. I'm running this through the Archetype Corey Wong. This is sort of the kind of distorted bass, well, gritty bass. It's my sloppy bass playing, but that's all right. But yeah, so we went into a Guitar Center, I don't know, like a month or two ago, and she just was like, "Well, what do you need?" Like, a bass. Like, sweet, get one. For sure, yeah. For drum mixing, is the room mic enough, or do you send the whole drum kit to a reverb bus? That depends on what you need. I generally find that the rooms, like I like having my room mic soloed, so I can kind of compress that and affect it separately from the rest of the kit. So, and I find that generally with especially with Get Good Drums, the room mic for the snare is enough for me. And obviously, this is not going to be 100%. Let's just put that as no effect. I mean, obviously, this is not mixed at all, so you're not going to hear exactly what it's doing. But like, if you could hear when it was soloed out, that smack of the snare kind of gave me that ambience that I wanted to. But yeah, I mean, if I don't have a really good snare mic, or snare sound to play with independently, yeah, I will send it to its own reverb bus, but I won't send much else aside from the shells. So if I have like spot mics for like the snare, the kick, and the toms, like I may need to put it through a single instance of a reverb, just to get myself a little bit more of that space kind of feeling. But it's situational. So like, oh, it's a good example. So if you go to the mix breakdowns for the Artist Tones John Mayer that I did, the drums that were sent to me by Gustin, he doesn't have room mics, so I needed to create my own room from scratch, basically. So I had to send my toms, my snare, my kick, all to, I think it was like Archetype Corey Wong with some like saturation, distortion to kind of like muddy up the tones a little bit, give it a little bit more of that room sort of vibe. And then, oops, my chat just moved on me. So yeah, so it's all situational on what you need, and your ear is going to kind of dictate what you need. Like it's like, okay, my mics sound too close to me. I need more reverb because I need to feel like it's more in a room than right up in my face. So yeah, that's when I'll put a separate track and send my shells to the reverb. Let's see. I'm more 666. Where's that liquid death at? I actually have like 2 cases in my my kitchen right now, but I've been drinking out of my water bottle here, just because I'm actually drinking like a gallon of water a day right now, which is like, it's kind of torturous in its own way, but it's easier to fill this up than to drink just boatloads of liquid death. So cheers. Aaron Williams, so this Quad Cortex case that Sweetwater just threw out there, was that planned or not? I was expecting that to be a neural advertisement before Sweetwater. I'm not sure exactly what's going on that front. I've been away. yeah, so I don't know if that was just us not advertising it first, or I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I'll just kind of leave it there for the moment. I don't know if we'll address it later in email or something like that, but I'm not sure. Secret herbs and spices. Any chance you have a cortex with you right now and can show us more amp tones? So there is I mean, I can't show you anything right now, just on the principle that we have a plan for marketing and content to be coming out. So me doing a live stream with the quad cortex would go against the initial plan. So, like that, as much as I want to put out more content of the quad cortex right now, I cannot. It kind of sucks because I really want to, but I would rather make sure that we are all in the same page as it comes to our marketing, our information, our plans. It's just a matter of like I have to follow the lead of the people that are in charge of what I am doing. So, as much as I want to right now, I'm going to hold off. But we'll be putting out a bunch of stuff really quickly. So I'm actually really stoked on it. Oh, dude. Mucho bueno gear. Says, thank you, Steven. See you on Saturday's masterclass. I'm teaching a masterclass on Saturday. Also say congrats, Mucho bueno gear, for the 500 subs on YouTube. Congratulations, dude. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited that you're getting a following and you're doing so well for yourself. That's just congratulations, dude. That's so cool. Dolphin lives matter. I saw it. I was like, dude, this is a funny name. And then I said it, and then I was like, I can't hold back laughter. It's a beautiful name. Anyway, so he asks, can you run multiple profiles in a quad cortex patch? On that note, does the cortex profile individual pedals level? Okay, so we're calling it capture, but yes. So can you run multiple captures in a quad cortex patch? Yes. Does the cortex capture individual pedals as well? Yes. Time-based ones, not so much as far as I know. But like if you do any sort of like overdrive pedals or preamps or anything like that, yes, you can run multiple captures on the same patch, and it actually is more economic to do so as well. It runs less CPU than any of the modeling that we have in the Cortex. So if you're looking to do like a really sleek, fast patch, like you could do a whole bunch of like captures, and you'll have something like that you can make very, very complex and interesting without having to run the CPUs very high. So yeah, yeah. Okay, Aditya is asking, hey, Steven, do you know if Neural is working on plugin updates, or are they more into QC right now? Okay, so that's shifting back over now to the plugins, and yes, there are several updates that are coming up. I think I think updates for all the plugins are kind of in the works. I can't really go into detail as to what is happening to them or why. That's not my place, as I'm sure you guys already know with the song and dance. But yes, yeah, they are getting some updates coming up, some performance enhancements, so that way they kind of like they don't drag the CPU quite as much. But yeah. So expect some updates. I'm not sure exactly when, but yeah. Fortnite Pro 9. Can I subscribe? Yes. William Demansky, NTS or nameless? My first inclination is to go with the nameless because of the saturation characteristics. I feel the NTS is beautiful. Now, if I was going for more of a techie sort of death metal kind of vibe, I would probably go with the NTS. Like, I think I did some like I did a decapitated kind of tribute track on one of the demos I did, like a year ago or something like that, in which I did the NTS, and it just fit like, oh, it's perfect. Bro, Fortnite Pro, you can subscribe. You can stop asking the same question. um, Sure. So Pablo is asking, is it possible to control two standalone instances of the plugin with a MIDI controller to switch back and forth between them? You would probably have to go. I went over this a little bit earlier, but you'd have to have something that's modular. So like, I'll go back through it one more time very quickly. So like, if you go with, come on, Pro Tools, you can do it. I have a lot of programs running at the moment. So to explain very quickly, what you could do is you can set up something like Element Modular Instrument, which is just it's a host basically. It's like a different version of like a DAW, and you can set your audio input here, set your neural DSP plugin like Corey Wong VST. So there. And as I think I just mentioned, this plugin is free. You can download it. They do accept donations for like a more advanced version and faster faster support times or something like that. But you can get this for free, which is what this is. So you have like the archetype Corey Wong here, archetype Nolly here, and then I can pull my MIDI inputs. So now this is the routing scheme that they use, which is not exactly elegant, but it is what it is. There we go. I was pulling it to the wrong one because I'm an idiot. But then so you have your MIDI input, which is going to be your device. Like either like I'll be using the Behringer FCB 1010 plugged into the back of my interface. And then my audio inputs. So this is how you could do it. You would then have like an instance of the archetype Corey Wong open, and then the archetype Nolly. What I would suggest as well for when you're setting these up, whenever you want to switch back and forth, set up like null presets or bypassed presets. So you'd like open this one up, disengage everything in here, turn down the input, turn down the output, turn the gate all the way up, and that oversampling at normal. And then you have basically a no sound preset. So I would say this is null and make that the control. So that way I can send the same message to both and switch between like null and whatever else you want to use. So I went into that in pretty consistent detail on a couple of videos on the YouTube page. If you want to look it up, MIDI, just search neural DSP and MIDI, and that should show up. Let's see. Adichie says, okay, we're getting a lot of trolls again. You know what? It's the internet, like honestly, I am not surprised. As we continue to grow, we're just going to continue getting more trolls, but I appreciate the quality of the community that we've been able to build so far. Like honestly, I see really grateful people in the Facebook groups constantly, and we've cracked down on some of the more ridiculous threads in the Facebook group and kind of tried to weed out the users that are not contributing to the positive nature that we want to really sow within the groups. So yeah, like it's thanks to you guys for being as cool as you are, as being as helpful and supportive and contributory as you are. So, I thank you guys a lot for that. We've just kind of sort of pruned out the bad people and tried to do that, but it's going to happen. Steve Stein guitar lessons. What's up, dude? Thanks. I appreciate it. Tom Couture. How close in proximity is your QC unit from you right now? It's close. It's very close. Aaron Short Music says, "Hey Steve, what's up, dude? How's it going, Aaron?" Chad Sellers purchased the Nolly plugin last week. It's amazing. Yeah, dude. The Nolly sits on a lot of my mixes. It's one of the best. Like it's the Swiss Army knife of the plugins. I think one of the most versatile and one of the most mix ready. If you guys missed it, Nail the Mix just went through Spirit Box's Holy Roller track this month, and they used the Archetype Nolly for their rhythm guitars, and it sounds just amazing. It's awesome seeing so many legit releases, like legit high profile bands using our plugins to create their tones. Aaron from Intervals is using our stuff. Jacob Umansky, who's also part of Intervals, is using our stuff. Protest the Hero. Dave Otero is using our stuff. Yeah, just so many people. It's awesome to see it. Mucho bueno gear. Says Steven, share your secrets. What do you do to make your voice sound great? Are you comp EQing or is it just you being great? I don't have a particularly deep voice, so I do have to EQ my stuff a little bit. EQ and compression. So let's start with the microphone. I use the Rode Pod mic for all of the Q&As and live streams and stuff like that because it's dynamic mic. It'll reject most all audio that comes through it. There's a couple of tricks that I do, but I actually have my audio going through the Rodecaster Pro, which is has Aphex preamps on board. Class A servo-based biased preamps. It's good. The Rodecaster Pro is great for like podcasting. My wife is laughing at something. It could be me. It's always possible. But yeah, so I use the Rodecaster Pro. I'll actually show you in Pro Tools. This is my general. Remember my buttons. I have a preset built in here. My voiceover chain. So when I'm doing filming, I use the Rode NTG4 Plus, which is like a shotgun microphone. And this is generally the signal chain that I'll use. Let's start with the pre. So I'll use Pro Q3 to address any particularly nasty frequencies. So sometimes if you get like the sibilance at 8 kilohertz or 2500, kind of get that papery sort of sound. There's no easy way for me to do this. So I'll leave it be for now. So I couldn't just go through the setup right off the bat. Anyway, so I have my shotgun microphone just kind of sticking just out of frame towards my mouth. I'll use my Pro Q3 to address any annoying frequencies. I'll go to my Sheps Omni channel. I have some saturation, which I really like. I really like this plugin. This plugin is awesome. So I have my saturation. I have a filter that is set to 50 hertz just to kind of get out some of the low rumble. I have my de-esser kind of taking care of the sibilance around 7 kilohertz. This is actually at a high shelf, so it's taking everything from 7 kilohertz and pushing it down. EQ, a little bit of brightness, a little bit of mids. I kind of take out a bit of 350 hertz because it's a little bit boxy. Like that area kind of makes my voice a little bit too low. And then I'll use an 1176 style compressor, fast attack, fast release, to kind of level out some of the highest peaks, like all of the plosives and whatnot. Then I'll use an optical compressor to kind of, again, just soften out the dynamics a little bit. Pro Q3, do some EQ, again, around that 350 to 700 hertz, taking that out. I use ARTG mastering chain, gets a little bit EQ, just to kind of brighten it up and take out a little bit of the lows. And that's it. You can get away with pretty much less than that, though. That's just me utilizing the whatever I have on hand. What's up, Seba? Oh, good to see you, man. What do you buy for the most heavy crushing sounds? Nameless Sweet? Question mark says Luca Schick. Heavy crushing sounds, and this is going to be controversial. Heavy crushing sounds comes from your bass. So heavy crushing sounds is going to be the parallax probably. If you're going for something really really heavy and crushing, because you can get really great guitar tones out of just about any of the plugins. However, if you want something that really really like just smacks a user in the face, you're going to have something in the bass that's going to really like make that tone work. So, aside from that, if you're looking for specifically a guitar tone, Nameless Sweet, definitely. Granifier, absolutely. Fortin Cali, yes. Like those would be my three go-tos for just crushing rhythm guitars. Maybe the Nolly. The Nolly third head would also be like a contender, but lately I've been finding myself going back to the Cali and the Granifier pretty frequently. I mean, even the Cali on default it just sounds sick. Yeah, dude. Even Colin O'Brien. Okay, Colin O'Brien said he purchased the Granifier and the Cali. Yeah, dude. Those are great choices. Those are absolutely great choices. Andrew Chetry says, Chetry, we'll say Chetry, says, why do we talk so much less about the bass? And it is a very, it's a very tragic thing. I love bass. I feel like bass is so absolutely fundamentally important to any mix. However, it's not what sells, you know, like as far as like the content on YouTube, like the YouTube audience has spoken. They like guitar content. I always put out the bass content, but it always does less well on the channel. So I try to sneak that in when I can. But yeah, it's definitely an underappreciated, undervalued asset. To your mix. Roy Hunter Killer, is it necessary to use a multiband compressor always in a guitar mix? What do you think? And that'll depend. The purpose of a multiband compressor is to compress only a specific frequency spectrum, right? Which is, you know, that's sort of the textbook definition. But like, if I was to look at this specific mix, like if I'm listening to these guitars, I don't need no multiband compression. If you're going with heavy metal stuff and you want to tame that low end bloom from palm mutes, definitely. Having that dynamic control over the low end, because low end frequencies have more energy and will overpower your mix more than high end frequencies, then yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be dictated by your hearing, by your ears, and what's necessary for the mix. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Seba is the backbone of Neural DSP. Seba is the one who makes sure that you all are taken care of on the back end through support. He's the best. He's the best. Um, yeah, so if ever you guys are hitting up support at neuraldsp.com, it's either going to be him or Gonzalo, and those dudes are, yeah, I couldn't do my job without them. Ramon says, I get a buzz on my interface when it's plugged in. It doesn't show up on recordings, but always on speakers when plugged in. Could using a non-USB hub plug away from the electronics help correct? Interesting that you're getting it through the speakers, but it doesn't show up on your recordings. That's fascinating. There's got to be some sort of ground loop or something like that happening, or something along those lines. I don't exactly know. Huh. You'd have to chase it down. It could help to have something that's not connected, but you know, we'll see. Flesh God, can you say anything about the sound quality of the Quad Cortex, both pros and cons? Like, how does it compare versus the Kemper and the Axe FX3? I mean, are there any cons really? Okay. Speaking seriously about it, I don't see any real cons to using the Quad Cortex versus the other ones. Like, I think Aaron from Interval said, like, you're going to have your preferences and workflow, but I feel like the Quad Cortex workflow is designed to make it as usable and as streamlined as possible for the users, for the end users. As far as the tones are concerned, like, they are fantastic. It was actually really great because the Sweetwater trip allowed me a lot of time to really just kind of mess around with my unit, and just get a feel for how exactly it worked, and I loved it. Like, just as a user, as somebody who has something in front of them, because like, I flew from Los Angeles to middle of nowhere, Indiana, like Fort Wayne, and I was sitting in my hotel room, and I'm like, okay, we got to come up with content to film, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, I was able to just quickly dial in good, usable tones in a very short amount of time. And that's what it's for, essentially, is just to be able to give you the ease of access and use to create tones that are in your head, and put them in the box, and then just go. So that way you can just concentrate on making the music. To be fair, I have not had too much experience with the Axe FX or the Kempers. Like, I got to play the Kemper once at the NAMM show, and it was kind of confusing, kind of weird, and I didn't really have a whole lot of time to get used to it. However, with the Quad Cortex, like, I feel like I got used to it immediately. Once I got it in hand, and I mean, even the beta version that was at the NAMM show, it was very, very logical, and yeah, the way that you build your chain, the way that you interact with the device, with the rotary knobs, or the touch screen, like, it's all very, very simple. So I feel like one of the biggest things that I is worth the price of admission for the Quad Cortex is just the ability to very quickly and very adeptly make your tones and then just move on. Like, so all in all, like, I can speak to the Quad Cortex as a user, less as a content creator for Neural DSP, and just as a user. I feel like that actually helped me considerably with my work, which is like what it's about. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, sorry, I'm reading the comments at the same time. So, just to take myself out of the equation as the Neural DSP content creator, if I'm going to Fort Wayne, Indiana to create content, and I get there, and that's when I have to start working, because I didn't have, I had some ideas on the content that I wanted, but it was like, I'm going to fly there with no instruments. So when I got there, I got some instruments to play on. So I knew what I would have available for the shoot, because I don't want to walk in with presets that are made for a different instrument. So I got there, made my presets, sounded great. Everybody loved it. Boom. Like, it did the job that I wanted it to do, and it did it exceedingly well. So that's about what I could say on that. Let's see. Benjamin asks, is it possible to get a great gent tone with the Fortin Cali suite? Absolutely. Grab the trial version of it and see what you think. Jacob, I haven't checked out. So he's asking, how does the modulation in the reverb work? Is it randomized in some way? I don't know the answer to that. I would have to look into that, but it's very, very flexible, the reverb. So it's you can dial in some pretty good tones. Let's see. Okay, so Rowanator asks, how exactly does the capture feature work with an amp? Does the Quad Cortex capture a mic'd up cabinet like the Kemper? Or does it work like the Moore GE300, basically capturing from the FX send? Okay, so this is a good question. So you can do either. You can set it up to capture from a microphone, so that way you capture the head plus the cabinet, or you can capture just the head, either with a DI out, which some amps have. If you capture the head direct, you'll need to have some sort of power soak in between there. So like the Two Notes Torpedo Live will be a good buffer between that, because you can't plug your head directly in the quad cortex, because that'll destroy the quad cortex. Well, it'll destroy your input at least. So you'll want something. I'm blanking on the words. I'm blanking on that. For a God, you guys know what I'm talking about. Um, yes. Okay, great. So yeah, so you can do either or, and it's kind of cool because you could capture just the amp head and then dial in the impulse responses within the quad cortex. That way you get your head and a flexible amount of tone variation within your presets. So yeah, great, awesome. I'm glad I could answer that. Load box, yes, that's the word. Thank you. Naja asks, "What's your more Mesa sounding plugin, Kali?" I don't know. I mean, like you could probably check out the NTS to get a little bit more Mesa boogie kind of distortion. Um, yeah, I would start there. The NTS is an unsung hero in the neural lineup. I think that one gets far less credit than it actually should. Yes, Rowanator says, yeah, I'd go from amp to captor to QC basically. Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's no okay. So Sven, you answered really good. So the Granifier with the XL6 mode is kind of Mesa esque as well. So yeah, that would be a good one to check out also. All right. Let's see. Okay, so it's 11:18 in my time zone, and that means I'm gonna start winding things down. So let's go and put in for some last questions, and I'll answer them really quickly, and then I'll get to the rest of my day. So let's see. Jeff is saying, looking for clean picked bass sound. Which plugin should I look at? Dark Glass. Someone said the Corey Wong. I would definitely suggest the Corey Wong. So if you wanted to, let me actually just pull this up for you. I'm using the Corey Wong for this mix. All right, so let us pull up just default settings on this, and we'll go ahead and listen to what we got. So you could go with something along the lines of this with the archetype Corey Wong, because what this is, the DI Funk console is basically an amalgamation of like a Neve and SSL console. So you have like your bands, your EQ bands, the high pass, low pass, tube saturation, compression. So you can get a really great DI signal from this. If you wanted to go with something a little bit more gritty, you do have the tuber and the big rig overdrive up front. So like the big rig overdrive is pretty cool. So those are a couple of options you can do. Dark Glass gets some pretty good clean tones as well. Dark Glass Ultra, Mono, if you want to go with this one. So you can get some pretty good cleans through either the Dark Glass Ultra or the archetype Corey Wong. The Corey Wong is going to give you a little bit more flexibility than Dark Glass, but it's just a matter of what flavors you want, because you can get good clean tones from either of these. However, when you start adding the distortion, the characteristics are going to be a lot different. So if you want a gritty tone from the Dark Glass, it's going to have that Dark Glass tone. If you want to go for a gritty tone in the archetype Corey Wong, it's going to have a lot more of that like mid-range growl. So it just depends on which direction you want to go from there. So I would say if you have the trials for either of these two, go ahead and give them a shot and see where you land. Let's see. Tomas, is the difference between an impulse response and a real cab audible by us humans? It kind of depends on what you're asking. So is there a difference, like if you're in studio listening through the same monitors, is there a difference between listening to a cabinet through like a physical cabinet through a microphone and listening to an impulse response that's just been put into the signal chain? I doubt there's going to be much difference. Now, if you're asking, is there going to be much of a difference between studio monitors and a real cabinet right next to you, then yes. There's going to be a lot more energy pushing. I feel like that's something that people don't think about when it comes to like the studio monitors have a specific audio profile to kind of make sure that you hear specific frequencies clearly. But yeah, anyway, so I would say you're probably not going to hear much of a difference if it's just the first scenario. You're in a studio, you hear your A being between a track that has a cabinet in an ISO booth with a microphone and an impulse that's taken in the exact same position. I don't think that you're going to hear much of a difference. Aditya, sorry about this. Okay, so if you guys, if I don't see questions, I apologize. The chat sometimes will go a little bit faster than I can read or answer questions, so don't worry about asking questions again. I will see them, and it's no problem at all. So Aditya asks, "Hey, Steven, asked it before but didn't get a reply, so please don't mind. Which plugin will be a good contrast to the Abasi?" So it depends on what you mean by a contrast to it. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit cleaner, I would go with the archetype Corey Wong. If you're looking for something that's, maybe something to pair up with it. It kind of depends on the outcome of the tracks that you're working with. But I would say a versatile one to use in contrast to that one would be the Archetype Nolly potentially. But you can go with pretty much any of them, and I think that would do fairly well. The most important aspect to making a tone fit in a mix is going to be the impulse responses, and I feel like there's going to be some that work really well, because the impulse responses in the Abasi were actually captured by Nolly as well as the Archetype Nolly. So I feel like those two would work pretty well together. So yeah, those are possibilities. But yeah, test them out. See what you like for yourself. Carl Fernandez, possible to get a blues Stevie Ray Vaughan tone with any of the plugins? Which one, if any? Okay, so a bunch of them. Anything with sort of the Marshall-y kind of profile. I was even able to get some pretty good kind of bluesy Stevie Ray Vaughan tones out of the Fortin Nameless by dialing back the input gain. So let's see. Could probably do the Nameless, Cali, second head on the Nolly, second head on the Pliny, maybe the Granifier potentially with the EL34 mode selected. Yeah, this is a good place to start. So Dronza says, does Quad Cortex come with tones by Pliny, Nolly, Corey Wong? If you're talking about presets, I think that's something they're working on, but I don't know if that's a reality or not. However, if you do have the plugins, and this is something we've talked about before, if you have the plugins, if you own them, you're going to connect your Quad Cortex to your account, your Neural DSP account, and eventually the plugins will be ported over the Quad Cortex in usable blocks, so that way you can use the plugins components in the Quad Cortex. So yeah, if you own them, you'll have them on the Quad Cortex. So let's see. Oh, nice. Thanks. Paul corrected what I mentioned earlier. It says he's one of 5 partners in Omega. The Granifier, previously Iridium, was already out by the time he joined. So that's cool. I mean, still, you bring a lot to the company, dude. It's the and the Omega is such a good product. Dude, it says got a few killer new IRs for me to check out. Send them my way, man. I would love to check them out. I'll give you all the feedback you want. Reality Move. Can you play some Mateus Asado style, dude? I don't know who that. Asato. Let's see. I don't know if this is gonna get me. I think so. Let's I'll put a pin in that one, and we can work. I'll work on that once I start making some Quad Cortex content. Because his tones, even there for just those few couple of seconds, I'm like, I already know like the particular blocks I want to use. Oh, Ramon, I'm so sorry. He says, can you please eat some turkey for me? My Thanksgiving got canceled this year. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's kind of rough for a lot of people right now. If anybody is like, all of my California homies out here know what kind of garbage we're dealing with at the moment. It's a lot of it's like curfews and stuff like that, and restaurants are now being put on blast again for outdoor dining and in restaurant stuff. So restaurants can now only do delivery or takeout. Things are progressing. It is what it is. You know, at the same time, we have to make the best of what we got. You know, my wife and I are planning on making some dinner. We're maybe visiting her mom for some Thanksgiving food, but like, you know, I would encourage you guys to keep the positivity rolling. We're going to keep working on some stuff on the back end so that way you guys have some fun challenges and ideas to work with. And, you know, like we're working really hard on getting the quad cortex up to, you know, to being released. And, you know, once that comes out, we're going to have a lot more stuff coming out as far as content, videos and whatever. So yeah, no, it kind of sucks that these circumstances are what they are. But we'll get through it. You know, just keep positive, keep working to improve your own personal circumstances. Use this time, if you can, even just to improve on yourself, on what you're working on. You know, like we all find ourselves with a lot of time on our hands right now. So practicing guitar, making some music, posting on Instagram, posting in the Facebook group, like, you know, there are, I mean, gosh, how many artist tones videos have I done now where I put out the presets and I put out the stems? Like, go download a bunch of those and work on your mixing chops and your tone dialing chops. You know, we've been given a lot of lemons this year, and it's time to make some lemonade. So yeah, I would just encourage you guys to continue being as awesome as you are. So that's my cheesy note for the day. Oh, Gerson says, are you a fan of Muse? Hell yes, I'm a fan of Muse. Like, the tones, the compositions, the overall like album concepts are just phenomenal. I don't listen to them quite as often as I used to, but yes, I do love Muse, and I would actually, you know, I'd be interested in making some tones for the Artist Tone series with that. Joe Losby says, new neural DSP user here, the Plini. Great product. I'm glad you like it, man. I'm glad you like it. If you like the Plini, depending on what you're going for, you probably will like the Archetype Nolly as well. If you like the lush reverbs and delays in your tones, the Archetype Corey Wong is going to be your next go-to. The shimmer button on the reverb is the best. Kevin says, hey man, big fan of Neural DSP. You guys have revolutionized the game software-wise and the Archetype plugins and now hardware with the Quad Cortex. Love from India. Thanks, Kevin. That's awesome, man. I appreciate that. I feel really grateful to be working for the company that I am because they are so innovative with their technology and I feel like they're the ones that are really pushing the market forward. And I feel really grateful to be counted among them. I do my best. I feel, generally speaking, to be the slowest man in the room whenever I'm with them. But that's a good thing because they push me to always constantly focus on getting better and better. So I appreciate you saying that, man. Dranza is asking, is there a way for fellow engineers to be beta testers for Neural DSP? You can contact... see, who would you contact? Look up our AR guy. We have, I think you can find his email on the careers page, maybe on the Neural DSP page. I don't want to give out his email right now because I don't want him to just get flooded with emails at the moment. Because yeah, that would be an awful thing to do to him. And I like him more. I like him too much to do that to him. I appreciate that, Rowanator. So Rowanator is asking, when using QC for two instruments, what are the routing options? How many outputs can I use? Can I run guitar and amp both in independent stereo? Yes. Yes. Okay. So you have 4 inputs, 4 outputs. Your grid is 4x8. So you can have your inputs set up input 1, input 2, or input 1, 1, 2, 2, etc. So you can actually have like up to 4 of the same signal running out of your unit. And then outputs, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2. Like, I mean, it's a whole, like, I'll be making a whole bunch of videos, detailing exactly like what you can do with that. So yeah. Oh, Derek, how do you play the guitar part at the beginning of "So Cold" by Breaking Benjamin? That's a good question. I learned that one a long time ago, and I don't remember it, but that actually would be kind of a cool video. That'd be cool artist tones to do. I really like Breaking Benjamin. Their tones are awesome. So, yeah, if there are no other pressing questions, I'm gonna go ahead and call this Q&A done. Jonathan says, I've bought Pliny, Nolly, Grandifier, and Parallax this weekend. I will never need any plugin again. Just wait, dude. Just wait. Andre R says, do you know how well the software takes hardware pedals, for example, a precision drive going in to the front of the amp? The plugin, I'm assuming. I've heard that it's great. You obviously can't push the signal into the interface without it clipping badly. So you'll need to manage your input gain structure and everything like that. But otherwise, I think that that would work really, really well. Awesome. Dronza, I can't answer that, man. He says, who's the next plugin collab happening with? You'll see soon enough. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. It's going to be... I'm very, very excited for this one. But that's all I got to say about it. Need radial DI box? Potentially. If that's a question, do you need a DI box? I actually have a video on YouTube, the Neural YouTube channel, answering that exact question on when you would need it and when you wouldn't need it. So awesome. Thank you all so much. I love and appreciate the support you guys give me on a weekly basis on these Q&As. I really enjoy doing these solo ones because I just get to have, spend time with you guys answering all your questions. So, yeah, let's go ahead and call it there. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. And I will see you all in that next one. Later.